it's all for play for still.
I think so. Do you want to bet against us?
Oh, hi, villains. Welcome to For the Love of Paul McGrath podcast. I'm joined by the wonderful Ty Bracey, and we're late, and it is my fault. And it's not because Ty was doing his hair, because look, he's wearing a hat. He's wearing a hat. Now, contrary to the comments, it's not because Ty was doing his hair. It's 100% my fault. I
was actually 10 minutes early. I was 10 minutes early. I was in at 20 past, like where I had to send you a WhatsApp saying chop chop.
You did chop chop. I was elbow deep in nappies at that stage, so I'll spare everybody the
I'll
gory details of that one. I'll spare everybody the gory details of that one. But yeah, Villa versus Fulham, after what I can safely say, Ty, has been a week of, since last Sunday morning, has been a week of incredible excitement, a massive low after the game, and then bad news after bad news after bad news as the week went on. And now we've got Fulham on Saturday with an opportunity to hopefully redeem ourselves from a playing side point of view and get those 3 points that we so richly need to keep us in the hunt for Champions League football, Ty. We're going to touch slightly, I suppose, on all of the injuries and stuff like that, and the on-field stuff that's been going on over the last few days, Ty. Me and you, I would like to think, or I would say, are two sunny side out guys. You know, we look at things, and I never come on here and tell anybody how to be a fan of Aston Villa Football Club. Like, I find that I would find myself being incredibly arrogant if I was to do that, because I'm going to follow Villa from afar. People go every day, go to the ground like twice a week. You know, sometimes I don't get the opportunity to do that. Some people need to grieve when certain situations like this happen, with regards to players getting injured or the potential for a season to derail. I choose to compartmentalize and maybe look towards the positive side of things as well.
Absolutely.
It's just people are completely different Ty. But how did this week kind of strike you, I suppose, starting with the loss against Manchester United?
It hit me like a ton of bricks. The week ended bad, and then it started bad. Obviously, it's going to be really tough. Kamara is a huge part of that starting 11. I would say he's part of the spine of that 11. He's someone who I always want to see in that 11. However, I don't think it means there's a lot of talk of our season's over. You can say goodbye to Champions League football. I don't think this journey's over just yet, mate. I want to see us keep climbing. I want to see us keep fighting. And if we throw the towel in and we don't get behind the lads, that's where the results will start to slip. The 12th man is as important as the other 11 on the field, in my opinion. So it's important we get behind the lads, and the 12th man is probably as important now as ever, Neil, especially with Booba being gone. There's no like-for-like swap there for me, really, in terms of his abilities. I think there's lots of options we can probably cover of who's going to go where. You know, John McGinn might end up at centre-back. John McGinn might end up in the Booba position. You know, Callum Chambers might make a return from the dead like the Undertaker.
Yeah.
Big Tim might come into the fold. There's lots of theories going about, mate, but I'm happy to discuss all of them.
And we will, and discuss them we shall, Ty, because I
just say as well, Neil, it's very sorry to interrupt you, buddy. This is my first podcast. I think it's got to be coming on 5 or 6 months. And
I'd say was your last one the one we did with Dan Ronaldson, the truth or a lie.
Yeah, I haven't done a quiz since then, whenever that was. So I just want to say thank you for asking me if I wanted to come on. I've been a bit nervous about when it was time to jump back on a podcast. I mean, you've mentioned I've lost a bit of weight. I have lost a bit of weight, 4 stone. If anyone wants some dietary tips, you can sign up to my Patreon. I'm joking. I don't have one of those. I've just been eating while I'm running. But yeah, thank you for having me back on. It's good to be back on, and it's good to be talking about Villa again to like-minded folk. So thank you.
No, thank you for coming on as well.
Stopping
And
us over.
I was only just saying to Ty beforehand. I actually said it to him. I goes, "Jesus, Ty, you're after. You're looking great. You're in great shape." And I said that I think the only way I'm going to lose 4 stone at this rate is if I get abducted and get held in some sort of North Korean internment camp or something like that. Because that's probably the only way. Starvation is the only way I'm going to lose.
Calorie deficit, mate. That's all it is. Calorie deficit.
Yeah. Yeah. And you'd think that would be the case, considering that I don't even get time to eat my own dinner. I'm giving it to 2 kids as it is at the moment. But for whatever reason, I'm going sideways. That's the way it is. But anyway, that's beside the point. That's just another thing for me to feel down about this week.
Well, I am sorry. I did want to say thank you before I forgot, because I've got the memory of a goldfish. So I did want to just say thank you for making me dig out the old microphone in the podcast booth. This is the first time I've done a podcast in my new house as well. I've moved house, so it's all been a bit of a mad,
mad. Right. It's been hectic for you. It's been hectic for me, and it's certainly been hectic on the field and off the field for Aston Villa recently as well. And we mentioned about the injuries, and I suppose Villa have not got the biggest squad in the world. I think that's fair to say. And I did a podcast with Dan Ronaldson today on Claret and Blue, and Dan tasked me with coming up with 6 positive pieces for Aston Villa, or 6 reasons to be positive. And you mentioned there that John McGinn could be playing centre half for Villa. In that, I actually discussed the period of time when Liverpool had to play Ozan Kabak and Jordan Henderson as 2 centre halves, and they still finished in the Champions League positions. If I'm not mistaken, they finished second that year, and they beat teams like Spurs 3-1, they beat West Ham 3-1, they beat Leipzig 2-0 with that centre half partnership. So you can find. What I'm saying is, you can find a way. You can find a way to win games with whoever at centre half, and I don't think centre half is going to be. Not going to be the area that I'm most concerned about this weekend coming, because we've seen Pau Torres is back in the grass, and I would imagine he's going to be involved this week. We've got Clement Longley. Torres and Longley are no qualms over that partnership. I've no qualms about Callum Chambers coming in a spot situation. We've seen that Tyrone Mings is back in the building. Obviously, we're not going to see him for 6 to 8 weeks, I would imagine. The club are going to take their time with him. But the news on Ezri Konsa as well.
It was a bit of an odd
post.
It just like they were definitely deflecting on some other things that happened today on social media, which we won't talk about in this podcast. But that was because he's not registered, so he's definitely not expected to be back this season. Neil, correct me if I'm wrong. We haven't registered him for.
Well, we can register him for Premier League. We can register him for the Premier League whenever. We just have to register him before 12 o'clock on a Friday.
No, I mean the Conference League. That's the.
You can register. I think we can register him again at the quarterfinal stage if we get through to the quarterfinal stage. I read that online today. I have not confirmed it, but I think we can register him, and I think the club may be looking to do that. Obviously, well, they will be looking to do that if he's fit again. But if you get him and Konsa back, hey, that back four is looking brilliant again, and we're only really missing what you call him, Mr. Kamara in midfield, and still a huge loss. And I know it's a couple of months, but what I'm saying is that if you can negotiate the next 3 weeks, the next 3 games I think are vital. Negotiate those, and then stifle teams like Spurs, who we've got coming up. We've got. We've got a bit of a murderer's row coming up of teams then after that. If you can stifle there and get an odd point here and there against teams, maybe, the odd 0-0 draw will come in very handy for this team as well. And then rob those points as the season goes on.
Our next 6, Fulham, Forest, Luton, Tottenham, West Ham, Wolves.
Realistically, I'm not going to make a points prediction on that, but
if that Villa show up, mate, every game there's winnable. We have shown when we are on our game this season, we can go toe to toe with any team in this league. Now, I know we're missing key players, and I know it's going to sound daft, but from my opinion, I think we're missing a lot of goals from Pau Torres not being in the mix. And I know that sounds daft because he's a centre back, but his long ball play is absolutely outstanding. Absolutely outstanding. That is one of his unique attributes that is killing us the most, apart from his defensive attributes, his attacking attributes in terms of like the long balls. they're really important to how we play and everything we do. And I think when he comes back in the mix, mate, them goals are going to come flying in again, regardless of injuries or not. I really do. And all it's going to take is the RB to find a bit of form again and a bit of confidence. And then we're laughing. That's a player who's out of form. You know, he's out of form. As soon as he finds a bit of form, mate, there's more goals.
And I don't think scoring goals has been our, well, like obviously we've lost a couple of games 3-1 recently. But you know, scoring goals isn't our issue. It's keeping them out at the other end, because the great thing about this Villa team was under Unai Emery, specifically last season, was you could back this team to win 1-0 every single week and you'd probably be a wealthy man at the end of the year. This year we've conceded a few more than we should have. We've been a bit more open and so on. The high line has probably become a small bit more of a focal point than it was last season. But you know, that's why, as I say, getting it, and I know it's not going to be today, tomorrow, or next week that we would have Tyrone or Ezri Konsa back, but it's important to have those people in and around the dressing room at least anyway, you know, and in around Bodymore Heat for conversations. And as you say, it's I fancy us to nick a goal in any game that we play, and that's why it's a case of find a way to win a game, a dirty game 1-0. And that's what we need to do. The flair for me, I couldn't care less if we played like paint drying for the rest of the year, and we scored headers from corners. And I know we don't do that regularly at all, but you know, I don't care. It's a results game from the last 14 games of the season. We have to better Manchester United's. Manchester United play this group of 3 teams that we have: Luton, Forest, and Fulham. They play them in a different sequence that we do. It's absolutely bonkers that this has happened, because they're going to lose to Forest. Well, I do hope. I hope they lose to Forest. I hope they shit the pants against Luton as well, and then I hope that Fulham grab a point off.
Put a £1 free bet on Nottingham Forest to beat them.
It would be amazing if that was to happen. Absolutely amazing if that was to happen. But it's the interesting part is that like those 3 games, the next 3 weeks, we'll be so intertwined with Manchester United. And we're vying for that last spot. If we can equal or better the results over the next 3 weeks, it becomes 11-game shootout for the rest of the season. And I know we've got a tough murderer's row, but Man United's ain't much better. Man United have to go and play like Everton as well in the last few games of the season. And if you think a Sean Dyche team isn't going to throw every elbow they have into every United player's face to try and stay up this year, you have another thing coming. So it's going to be interesting, but it all starts with this group of 3 games, and this group of 3 games starts at 3 o'clock on Saturday against Fulham. Have you seen a lot of Fulham this year, Ty? Have you seen much of them play under Marco Silva?
No, not really. I'll be honest. This season, I haven't watched as much football as I would have liked to. I've just had a crazy 23-24 in terms of personal life along the footballing season. I haven't been to Villa Park, bearing in mind I'm a season ticket holder. I haven't been to Villa Park since I moved house, and that was on the 15th of November.
Yeah.
Don't get it wrong, I've watched every Villa game, but I haven't been to Villa.
Just life has gotten away.
Yeah, life's been a bit mad. But no, I haven't watched much of Fulham. But I know that they're no pushover. They're not a pushover by any means. And a good Fulham on a day is a tough opponent. It really is. Where are they? 12th in the table. Last 5, 1, drew, lost 1. So yeah, a bit of a mix. Could go either way, mate. It all depends. I always say it all depends on what Villa show up. I'm never concerned about what opponent shows up. It's always for me what Villa show up, because I know the Villa that if Villa show up, we can win any game of who we play against. I do genuinely believe that, mate, regardless of injuries and all of that jazz.
And we've shown that this season. You know, playing against City, Arsenal, Spurs. You know, that magnificent run we had just before Christmas was like every Villa fan was pinching themselves. And that's not to say that we can't manufacture those wins again. I'm not. The one of the big things I think against Fulham is that we do have to acknowledge is last 3 trips to the last. We beat them. We beat them in 2020 in the Cottage, and they beat us 2022 when we last played them there as well in the league in the Cottage. So like, it's been mixed fortunes for us. Prior to that, they beat us 3 times in a row. Most of those in the Championship, but I think we're two very, very different teams. And with regards to Fulham, like one of the big things for Fulham is that they are struggling for goals at the moment. Raul Jimenez is out injured, and one of their big players. Like we talk about us having injuries. Kenny Tete is out injured for them, and potentially Tosin Adarabioyo is out as well for them. That would be massive for them if he was out, because he's somebody who's getting talk of potentially being a Spurs centre half next season, or even going to Continental and following the likes of Tomori to Serie A.
Yeah.
But they really need their unit. They need their unit to be big, and they need their unit to be strong the way they play football. And if he's out, and if Armando Broja doesn't make it in this game as well, you know, I would really fancy us going there to Fulham. We've got a player set that should, playing the way they've been playing this season, should be able to go to Fulham, even with the injuries we have, and make a real good game of it and come away from there with a win. We should be expecting a win at the weekend, I think.
Here's a question for you, Neil. I mean, I'm aware you're the host. It's usually you asking the questions, but something I'd like your 50p on. Do you think the injuries that we're having, especially the ACLs, I mean, to get 3 in one season, 4 if you include Swinkles. I think Swinkles has done his ACL in the youth.
Yeah, he did it at the end of last year. Yeah.
Do you think that affects the confidence of a footballer? Would you say that people being scared of injury when you're surrounded by it would probably make someone hesitate? Mine, apart from John McGinn, who absolutely has balls of steel, do you think that would make someone a bit scared to run that bit faster, or, you know, go in a little bit harder for that challenge? That's genuinely a question I don't know the answer to.
No.
But do you think that would play a part?
I've done my ACL before. I did my ACL when I was I've done. I did my ACL when I was younger.
Is it one of them? I could have been a pro, but I did my ACL when I was 17 for Southend under 4 girls reserves. I could have
played inter-county hurling here in Ireland, only for the fact I did my ACL, and then just coming back from my ACL, I broke my ankle and my leg and had to get a load of steel work on my leg. So that was an expensive night out, put it that way. The night I broke my ankle and my leg cost me my sporting. Well, it cost me my hurling career anyway. After that, but well, no, what I'm getting at here is actually, do you know what's an interesting one? The guy who gave Ruud van Nistelrooy his diagnosis for his ACL gave me my diagnosis for my ACL.
Really?
There's
That's
one.
crazy.
Yeah. There's
small
one for you. Small, myself and Ruud van Nistelrooy, just peas in a pod, you know, exactly the same.
Knowing that his hands had touched the legs of one of the all-time greats in Dutch football.
If I was as good at putting him in from the 6-yard box as Ruud van Nistelrooy, I could have been someone. But what I would say about it is, when you look at it, like Tyrone Mings' injury was a freak injury. Boubacar Kamara's injury, a freak injury. I don't know how Buendia did it because he did it in training. But you have to imagine, like, I think it was the very last play in that training session, if I remember rightly. They were just having a game of 5-a-side. I don't know. Maybe it's something to do with the synthetic pitches. I don't want to stray into people from Ireland will know who I'm going to stray into here if I start talking about it. John Giles, a fantastic ex-Leeds player, often talks about this and talks about boots and synthetic fields and stuff like that with regards to injuries. But I don't know whether that's the case. But I don't think anybody's really going to be too, you know, nobody's wondering who's next. I think it's just bad luck, to be honest with you.
Yeah. I mean, good. I'd rather it be that way, but I was thinking, do you reckon that causes a bit of a confidence issue of, am I going to hurt myself? But maybe I'm just looking a little bit too deep into it. But in the grand scheme of things, mate, I'm feeling really positive. And as you said, with Fulham are missing some key players as well, some real key players. So it's all to play for, mate, at Craven Cottage. It really is all to play for. It's
and just on the injuries piece as well. It's like I don't think, like as you said, you mentioned John McGinn there. I don't think there's any other Villa player that's going to be running around the place going, oh, I'm not going to go into that tackling. I'm going to let this guy go past me. They're competitors. They've gotten to the top of their game like this, and they will have looked at, and they'll have. I'm sure that every single one of those players will have gone into the physio room and potentially discussed this with their trainers, with the likes of, is it Ollie Stevenson? That's one of the guys that's there in the strength and conditioning department.
I'm not sure, but he definitely used to be.
He got used the name to be right. There, yeah.
I'm not sure if he is anymore.
But the strength and conditioning department will have addressed this with all the guys to let them know, listen, this is just a loading issue. What I would say, that guys will probably be coming off the field at the end of the season going, we're playing a lot of games. You know, I think that the players might at the end of the season, if there's an analysis done, I'm sure there will be an analysis done. The day of wanting the days of wanting to have a 20-man squad and keeping it tight, like maybe you and I wants to do, maybe those days might be gone, considering the amount of games the players are playing, the level the players are playing at. Maybe there will be a discussion to say, okay, we need to expand the squad size, because when we're in the situation that we're in at the moment, and I think probably if there was a captain's meeting with the higher ups, I think they would probably say that as well, to say, listen, I would have no problem sacrificing a game or two here every season for a small little bit more of rest time, because players can feel it in their bodies. And everyone will say, oh, I played 4 games a week when I was 17 years of age. That's you. These guys are like, it's like race horses. You don't race a racehorse every week, because if you do, they'll be glue before the end of the year, you know?
Absolutely.
So, and sorry for any of the guys out there that love horses. I didn't mean that crass analogy, but it's just an old school analogy.
No, it makes sense, mate. It does make sense.
Yeah, and I think with regards to the team that's going to go out at the weekend, I think we'll be fine. I'm expecting minimal changes to the team. Actually, I don't expect there to be any. I think Paul will come in, obviously, anything out of the ordinary. Like, I don't think Tim is going to start at the weekend. I think he's going to play Tielemans for the forward. I think he's going to play. He's going to do the McGinn and Luis thing.
So do I.
Unai Emery is a man of habit.
Yeah,
he'll do what he's done before until it doesn't work anymore, and then he'll move to something else. So I expect Tielemans in.
John McGinn is that type of player and has that level of commitment. Emery could go to him, I need you at left back on Sunday, and he'd go Saturday, and he'd go sound. Yeah, I do genuinely believe he is that guy, and I do genuinely believe he can play pretty much anywhere on the field. We've seen him play further forward for Scotland, and we've seen him play further back for us. We've seen him on the right-hand side this year. Do you know what I mean? We've seen him move around the pitch. So yeah, I think you're right. I think that'll be the two in the pivot, mate. I think it'll be Douglas and JM.
I think that would be it. And I don't think there's going to be any changes up top. I don't think he goes with the Diaby and Bailey playing in the same team. I think just Tielemans comes in, Ramsey on the left-hand side. Ramsey, talk to me about Ramsey, Ty, because you would have watched the game at the weekend.
Yeah.
I was impressed by Ramsey at the weekend, but obviously I can hold my hand up and say, he looked a bit rusty. You know, Ramsey with 10 games under his belt sticks that one in the back of the net that Bailey slips through to him. But I was impressed with his carrying of the ball at the weekend, albeit his passing was a bit rusty.
Yeah, I think he was back to his better side. He's definitely took a few games to get back into it, but it's expected. He had an injury. I can't remember, was something in his knee, but then he came back and then did the other knee or the other leg. So whatever leg he did the first one on, he then did the same thing again on the second. I can't remember if it was his knee, his ankle, or...
It was metatarsals. It was something down on his foot, wasn't it? Yeah, broke a bone.
Yes, that's the one. Yeah, so I think he did the other foot. And, you know, from a playing perspective, that would cause a lot of rust. You know, it 100% would, but I definitely seen glimpses of the Ramsey that we had seen the best of, mate, on the weekend. I think he was definitely back to his... I don't think there was much wrong there, apart from that through ball. I think you bang on with that comment, mate. If that was an uninjured Ramsey playing week in, week out, I think he buries that 100%. But yeah, it's good to see him back in the 11. It's good to see him getting that confidence again and getting back into the swing of things. And I really hope that he gets back on the score sheet. I think this weekend could be the one, mate. I really do.
I'm thinking so as well, because John Townley put out a statistic there as well, saying the Fulham host the AVFC on Saturday, having faced 46 shots in their last 2 home Premier League games against Everton, where they shipped 21 shots.
Is this Bournemouth?
Fulham? Yeah, Bournemouth shipped 25 shots against. They shipped 25 shots.
I know people can easily go, "Oh, Everton, Bournemouth." Everton, since they had that points deduction, have had the rocket up their backside, and Bournemouth are no pushover, man. They're not.
No,
they're not. Even Luton are giving teams a really good game, and there's people betting on Luton to get the least amount of points in Premier League history, and they've been proper banger. Ross Barkley, he's playing the football of his life. He's playing the football of his life, but yeah, I mean, if we can get 20 shots, with Ollie Watkins scoring at least 6 of them, then I'll be happy.
The reason that I bring it up is because the last team to face more than 20 shots in 3 consecutive home games in the top flight was Norwich.
Was us the year we got relegated?
No, it was Norwich in 2019. Norwich in 2019. So, look, for all the talk in the Fulham team of the likes of Tom Kearney and Palhinha and the defenders that are, and Palhinha, I think, is the first player in Europe's top 5 leagues to reach 100 tackles already this season. That's just what he does, so take him for a run around the field and open those avenues forward, because they're going to play Willian, they're going to play the likes of Andreas Pereira, they're going to play Deckard Overeed. They do play their attacking players. They don't go to stifle you in midfield. They say we were going to play 4 attacking, we're going to play 6 back. We'll concede the middle of the field and we'll let Palhinha kick you up in the air. If Villa can get around that and can get through that, Palhinha, please, and keep peppering shots at Bernd Leno, who's a good goalkeeper. I'm not saying he's not a good goalkeeper, but is a good goalkeeper. But if they can do that at the weekend, you have to fancy them. But the big problem with Villa this year is, and I'm on record about 50 times as saying, if you don't shoot, you don't score. And sometimes you pass the ball around the box and we pass it out wide and we try and recycle it too much. So lesson for Villa is to shoot at the weekend, I think. Yeah,
I agree, mate. I think it's going to be a good game. I think it will be a good game. I think it'll be very end to end. I don't think there'll be a pushover. No. I think I won't do a score prediction yet. I'm sure you're going to do that further on, but I think it'll be an end to end game. I don't think we're going to absolutely slaughter them, but I think it's going to be end to end.
Me too. I think it's going to be end to end. And I think Villa are going to come out of the blocks. I think we are going to shoot. One change, actually, I think that might happen, Ty, and I'll let you go after this, is I think if Luca Dean is fit, which he is, I think we're going to see Luca Dean start this game.
Yeah.
12 months ago, I would have gone, not a hope.
Yeah, I think he'll be bang up for it. I remember when Moreno got injured and everyone was like, no, we're going to put up with Luca Dean. And then there was rumours of him leaving. Then all of a sudden he turned into prime Roberto Carlos for a bit. And then he never left because he wasn't in the shop window. And then the form kind of stayed a little bit consistent. He was playing good ball. I mean, I'd definitely say he's in contention to start. I don't think that spot is cemented week in, week out of who should start there, especially recently. I think absolutely they are both fighting for that position. I think that is one of the positions that is probably nailed on every week. That isn't one of them two to you couldn't definitively say Dean's going to start this week or Moreno's going to start this week. I genuinely think that's one position that is constantly being fought for. I mean, obviously Dean's been injured, but both fit. I think it's a position that there's a lot of fight for, mate. Yeah,
and it's funny actually. You said when Moreno got injured, there was a collective groan. Think back to the start of the season when Tyrone Mings went down. Like, there's a lot on Twitter when Tyrone Mings went down of, I don't trust Pau Torres. Pau Torres can't do it. Because he didn't have a great game when he came against Newcastle. Then Pau Torres goes down, and it's a case of, oh my God, the world is ending again. And look, I'm not telling you, like,
what you're saying is Callum Chambers is going to turn into prime Maldini.
Callum Chambers is going to be Callum Chambers is going to be prime Tony Adams come to start the match. But what I'm saying here is we're getting these players back, and they're players that have really contributed for us this season, and they're players that, as the season has gone on, Unai Emery has molded them into being a real integral part of the team. So by Boubacar Kamara going down, I'm wondering if the fact that Tielemans maybe is now thinking, okay, I'm going to be playing more and more often. Is that a monkey off his back? Does he become more effective when he's played further forward? The fact that maybe McGinn now has this mindset on a week-to-week basis of, I'm going to be in a bit more of a withdrawn role. All right, what I'm going to do here now is I'm going to offer a bit more help to Matty Cash on the right-hand side, like I used to do last season. Instead of being in this mid-game kind of transitional piece of, okay, I'm going to fit in as a 6 here, and now I'm going to play as an 8, now I'm going to go out wider a small bit here on that left-hand side, and now I'm playing the right-hand side. McGinn's biggest issue is the fact that he can play everywhere with massive enthusiasm. Now, maybe if we get him here he knows he's going to be there for the next X amount of games, potentially for the next 14 games. Maybe you get that little bit of specialization within training and the game planning week to week as well. So, yes, we're thin on the ground, but we've got damn good players. That's why we've still got some really good players left, and we've got the
ones
core,
that are fit.
the ones that are fit. Exactly, yeah. We've got the core group of really nice group of players. Before we leave, I want to say thanks to Matt Hanlon. Thank you very much for that. Trying to buy a win at the weekend.
I want half of that. I want half of that.
It's on its way to you. It's on its way. It's in escrow. It's in its escrow. Where is the? There was another one there. Somebody was asking, I think it might have been yourself, so you might have been asking, can we recall anybody on loan? There it is. Can we recall anyone on loan, whether it be Kerr Smith, whether it be Feeney or Chris Enne? I'm reliably informed that they don't want to, number one, and second of all, that they can't, because there would be a massive, well, not massive, but it would be a financial compensation piece, and they see it as more of a benefit for those guys to stay out on loan for the rest of the season. Kerr Smith playing with St. Johnstone at the moment, Feeney with Real Union, and Ben Chrisen, who's getting some nice reviews at Blackburn at the moment. But I think if first of all, we haven't heard about Ezri Konsa yet. I think if it was a really bad injury, we would have heard by now. That's not to say that it doesn't break tomorrow, because that's the way these things work. But
I've been told some news on that, actually. If I read it to you, it's from somebody who I trust as well. Let me have a look. Where is it? They definitely mentioned Konsa. Yeah, I think it's not an ACL. And apparently he's had two. Yeah. Konsa not ACL and has had 2 scans.
Brilliant.
Because there was a lot of talk of ACL on him, wasn't there?
Yeah, there was talk of knee injury and ACL. Yeah, for sure. It could just be a bone bruise. It could be cartilage. It could be something that he could play through. Who knows?
Yeah.
And if all else fails, just go down to Barrow and get James Chester. Agreeing under the table.
Get him in till end of season.
That's what he does best. He knackers his body for everyone, doesn't he? He's an absolute. He did it for us last time.
Once more for the road. Promoted.
Yeah, one more. Yeah, get the band back together, and himself and Ty, the 2 centre halves. But yeah, we could go on forever talking about potential of people who could come in and just watch us go in and sign Phil Jones now, and for that meltdown on Twitter. Phil Jones is still a free agent, everybody. Just in case you're wondering, he still is, of course. Sure, Phil Jones hasn't played in about 4 years. But of free agents that are out there, Mamadou Sakho was let go from Montpellier in January, so he's still able to do it. Maybe. Anyway, let's not get down that avenue. We're fine. We'll be grand. Ty's going to come back and lead us to the Champions League, and we're going to beat Fulham at the weekend.
Amen.
Amen to that. I am going to wrap it up at that, everybody. Thank you so much again, Ty, for joining us. It's been a long time since I spoke to you. We're going to get you on more regularly again. We get you back into the podcasting sphere again, because you're too good not to be doing it, buddy. Too good not to be doing it.
You too.
And thank you so much to everybody else for watching. Really appreciate your time at this different time. We normally do this at 9:30, and we have a captive audience at 9:30 before people go to bed, and when people are waking up in the Southern Hemisphere. But thanks for joining us at this different time today. We will be back on Saturday with a team sheet tantrum and obviously a post-match podcast as well. All things going well, provided I don't have any children meltdowns between now and then. We will be back with those, and Paddy will be back on for those also as well. So hopefully you'll join us for that. Thanks again to Ty, and thanks again to everybody here. And in the meantime, stay safe, stay healthy, and all that's left to say is up the Villa.
Up the Villa.